Helicopter rescue at flooded farm as rain causes disruption. 7 people have been airlifted from a flooded farm in Dumfries and Galloway after torrential rain led to disruption in several parts of Scotland. 4 children were among those rescued by a Royal Navy helicopter after being trapped for about 6 hours at Nithside Farm near Closeburn. Homes had earlier been evacuated at Kirkconnel, in Dumfries and Galloway, and New Cumnock in East Ayrshire. Flooding also caused disruption on the rail network and several road closures. Police in Dumfries and Galloway warned drivers not to travel unless it was absolutely necessary. While all the main trunk routes were said to be passable with care in the area, many minor routes were closed or disrupted and some cars had been abandoned. With more rain forecast on Tuesday morning, police said further flooding and disruption was possible. The Scottish Environment Protection Agency had more than 30 flood warnings in place on Monday evening. The 7 people who had been trapped upstairs at Nithside Farm, a father, 4 children under the age of 8 and 2 holidaymakers, were rescued at about 19:00. 2 dogs were also rescued, and all those involved were said to be safe and well. Elsewhere, heavy rain and winds of almost 80 mph battered parts of Wales, affecting roads and train services. Met Office Amber, be prepared warnings for parts of Dumfries and Galloway and Ayrshire have now been lifted, but yellow, be aware warnings remain in place for these areas and much of central and southern Scotland. There is also a yellow warning for wind in Wales, northwest and northeast England, Yorkshire and Humber, the East Midlands, southwest England and London and the southeast. There are yellow warnings for rain in Wales, Northern Ireland and southwest England. Transport problems on Monday included: a landslip between Dorking and Durham has halted services between Gatwick Airport and London, Southern Railway said. The route was being used for alternative services to the airport while engineering work was carried out on the Brighton Main Line. Pre-Christmas landslips in 4 separate locations have meant there are no rail services between Petersfield in Hampshire and Haslemere in Surrey until the 6th of January. Flooding in Wales has caused disruption to train services. No trains running on the Isle of Wight due to flooding in Ryde. Roads near the tallest building in Leeds, Bridgewater Place, reopened at 16:00 GMT after being shut because of high winds. Fallen trees closed the A36 in Hampshire and the A35 in Dorset. Both were later reopened. In Scotland, Dumfries and Galloway and parts of Ayrshire have been worst affected. In the village of Carsfairn, in Dumfries and Galloway, residents described the conditions as some of the worst they had experienced in 40 years. Police said major roads across the region were affected by flooding, including the A74M at Greenhill Stairs, the A76 at Kirkconnel and the A75 at various points. About 40 houses in the St. Cumnock Square area of Kirkconnel were evacuated and a rest and welfare centre has been set up at the village's Miners' Hall. Police said the village of Moniaave was almost cut off at one point due to flooding on the A702, and a family had to be evacuated from a bungalow which was cut off by flood water. Firefighters used rescue boats to assist with the evacuations. Homes in Port Logan and Newton Stewart also had to be evacuated. The White Sands in Dumfries has flooded after the River Nith burst its banks. Electricity supply to this area has also been affected. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, SFRS, said it had attended 55 incidents which involved flooding or water rescues in the Strathclyde and Dumfries and Galloway area between 0800 and 1800. One woman had to be rescued from a stranded car in Moffat. A number of properties were evacuated in Dundee after a landslide. Police Scotland said heavy rain had caused a wall to collapse at the rear of Gardner Street at about 16:00. No one was injured, but properties were evacuated as a precautionary measure and some roads were closed in the area. Police Scotland said 8 people had been evacuated from their homes in Mansfield Road in New Cumnock, and a further 6 homes were evacuated in the Legate area. Police, fire crews and staff from the council and Scottish Water and Scottish Gas remained at the scene. In Glasgow, the M77 southbound entry slip was closed because of flooding at junction to Barhead Road. Trains from London Euston Station to Edinburgh and Glasgow were disrupted by flooding. Virgin Trains said there were no services running between Carlisle and Carstairs, due to flooding between Lockerbie and Carstairs. The first TransPennine Express from Manchester Airport to Edinburgh and Glasgow Central has also been affected. Temporary flood barriers have been moved to sites across Stonehaven after a considerable rise in water levels in the River Carron. Aberdeenshire Council said the move was precautionary and that it was expecting the rain to ease on Monday evening. BBC weather presenter Christopher Blanchett said 52.6 mm, 2 inches of rain had fallen in Threave in Kirkconnel between 22:00 on Sunday and 10:00 on Monday, according to Met Office figures. Head of Network Operations at Transport Scotland, Scott Lees, said, although we would expect to see fewer people travelling at this point in the holiday season, we would advise people to prepare for this, drive to conditions and allow extra time for any journeys they are planning to make. Transport Scotland is in regular contact with the Met Office, Police Scotland, operating companies and Network Rail, as well as the ferry operators, and will continue to monitor weather events to ensure the maximum response to any incidents that rise as a result of the expected rainfall.